Welcome back, everybody. I'm Derek, and once again, this is Monday Night Mad Monster Movie. So this is a special episode as I want to talk about the Columbus Horror Con that I recently just got back from. Now, quickly to call it out, this video is a little late as it was back in the first weekend of May. I actually had some camera issues. I've tried recording this video several times, and then every time I go back to watch it, it's just messed up. So we're trying this once again, and really I had such a good time at that convention that I don't want to let all that good energy go to waste, and I'd love to share it with you guys. And you know, if somebody else had went to the show, I would love to share my experience with them, hear their stories, or maybe incentivize some people to go to a show in the future. But yeah, the Columbus Horror Con, it was the first time Columbus has put this show on. And as you can see, we got a nice little collection of some celebrities here. Now, Bill Moseley did not attend as he had an unfortunate chainsaw cactus cutting incident where he fell and he broke his hip. Or didn't break his hip, but hurt his hip or something along those lines. Nonetheless, Tyler Mane, who played Michael Myers in Rob Zombie's Halloween, he was able to fill in for him, and we had a great time. Now, this was a smaller show. I've been going to conventions here in Ohio and Indiana for over the last decade. And, you know, I had a lot of fun with this being a smaller show. So when I say it's smaller, I don't mean that in a bad way. I actually found I was able to have a lot more interactions with people. You know, not only just other attendees of like standing in line to get in or in line for autographs. You know, always tend to have conversations with people and things like that. But with it being a smaller crowd, was actually able to have more one-on-one convos with the vendors. You know, always try to chat with people, especially the people who do crafts and artwork and things like that. I do enjoy talking with them. But at a bigger show, when there's constantly people coming up to the booth with questions or purchasing items, it is hard to have conversations. So that was really key at this show, is I really just had good talks with everybody all around. But I do go through my convention process in like a certain order, and I figured that's like how we'll go through the episode here. When I first go to a show, I personally like to go and check out merchandise, as I'm a big physical media collector. I'm looking for, you know, good deals on movies, Blu-rays, 4Ks, but also really looking for some obscure tapes that I don't have, or, you know, something cool to add to the collection. Also, like I've mentioned before, I'm a huge fan of promotional items. Anything that was like used to sell a movie, whether in theaters or in video stores, typically from the 80s into the 90s, but it stretches beyond those 2 decades. But yeah, those are just things that, like, in my opinion, they're going to go quick. If it's something I don't have and I'm interested in, most likely other people are interested in it as well. So I personally don't hit the celebrities first. But this show, I did get a lot of crafts. I was able to get some taxidermy items and things like that. And that was mainly all in the first building. Seemed like there was a lot more like crafts and artwork and things like that, which, you know, thankfully a friend, you know, a little while back kind of like, you know, encouraged me or got me into wanting to support local artists and things like that, as they were an artist themselves. And, you know, I do really believe in that, and I see the importance in it. Mainly with me just being such a huge fan of horror, I love to support anybody else who is a fan and is putting their time and effort into doing something creative in the horror world. I'm all here for that. But when I did get into building 2, I found that TerraVision was there, which is a boutique movie label where they restore old shot on video or lower budget films, and they're restoring them, putting them out on Blu-ray and 4K. Also, they do a really awesome job of re-releasing movie soundtracks, which I've gotten into over the last several years. So they're putting out some really cool things on vinyl and even cassette tapes, which are coming back. But I did get a smaller stack of physical media. If you've seen any of my posts in the past of conventions I've went to, you know this is relatively small for my physical media, but they really didn't have any tapes there. There was one guy who had some, and just, you know, nothing I was really interested in or the price. But I do like, you know, that I got some really cool movies from TerraVision. Also got a movie from Blue Underground and Eureka. Death Dream and Martyrs I've actually never seen, although I know a lot about both movies. Being in the horror world, like, yes, I'm well aware of Martyrs. Just being a messed up movie, something I kind of have to be in the mood for. But yeah, looking forward to sitting down and disturbing myself with that. Death Dream, just a big Bob Clark fan, so, you know, happy to check out a film of his I actually haven't seen. And then the rest, some low budget goodness from TerraVision, like Sledgehammer, always a good flick. But to wrap up the merchandise I got, because again, with the crafts and things like that, just, I really don't feel like it fits with the channel. So, you know, I had some pictures of all of the things I bought, but, you know, wasn't going to show any of that stuff off here. But shout outs to all the people who made crafts at not only this show, but at any show. You know, you guys are appreciated. Keep doing what you do. You know, it's all awesome. So, but I have to share that I was lucky enough to get the Pumpkinhead standee. Apparently a lot of people came back looking for this, as I didn't see this until about an hour after the show had started on Saturday. Talked with the vendor, who is a local collector actually. We chatted on Saturday and Sunday, and he told me a lot of people came back for this on Sunday. In my opinion, I can't believe you would hear the price he was asking and walk away from it. This was awesome. I consider myself extremely lucky, not only in acquiring this guy, but also just making the connection with Terry, who's a local collector. We exchanged information. He has some other store display, promotional items, things like that, that we're going to be doing some business here in the future. So good for the video vault, bad for the bank account. But yeah, good stuff. And again, I had to show that guy off. Now, I wasn't really looking for books at this show, to be honest. I'm somebody to where I might stockpile movies that I haven't seen because I know I'll get to them. With books, I do like to stay on top of them. And this past year, I got several books that I'm still catching up on. So again, I actually like intentionally avoided book dealers and things like that. But there was an author there who, she had a good sales pitch, and she was able to catch my attention as I was intentionally trying to walk by her, not gonna lie. But that was D.L. Wainwright. She is an author who also has a degree in folk studies and has wrote a dark fantasy series that spans different countries involving their folk horror stories, and they're all accurate to the regions, being that she has a degree in that. So it was really awesome getting to talk with her. You know, she sold me on not just one book, but the book series. And yeah, it was really cool. You know, we start off with The Hollow Sun, which takes place in Romania. Next up, we have Fractured Mask, which I believe is in America. We have Paper Lanterns, which is getting into Asian folk. And then Crossed Paths. So speaking with DL, we have a group of characters that we're introduced to in our first book, mainly Lucy. And these characters do, if surviving, I'm assuming, they carry on into the later books, but each book does introduce a new set of characters that then we start to follow as well. So sounds, you know, really engaging to me. I got these on Saturday, and with the show not starting until noon on Sunday and me actually just living right down the road, it gave me a great opportunity to dive into this book Sunday morning, and I was enjoying myself. The main character, Lucy, you know, within a chapter or two, I was already engaged with her. I was caring about her, the decisions she was making, not so much the periphery characters. But really Lucy, I did connect with her, and it was really cool to go back on Sunday and actually get to share that with D.L. Wainwright. I've never really been able to like pick an author's brain like that. Why maybe I've bought a book or two from an author. I've never been able to like read some and go back and talk with them after. Because normally at shows, I'm staying in a hotel or things like that. So again, being so close to my house was really key. Allowed me to enjoy the show in some different ways I haven't really been able to in the past. But I would highly recommend getting into this dark fantasy series, starting with The Hollow Sun. I found it really easy to get into, as someone who grew up reading Stephen King at a very early age, regardless of what other author I read, they're always compared back to, Stephen King's writing style and his development of characters. And why I'm not saying she's like Stephen King or anything like that. I found it as someone who, holds people to a high standard. I found her, writing style really easy to get into, and an enjoyable read. So recommend this if you're able to find, any copy or digital download. Would highly recommend this. I know talking about books is a little bit of a divergent from what we normally talk about, but it's close enough in my book. Or as my dad always says, close enough for government work. I don't know why he never worked for the government. But after all that, I did start meeting the celebrities. I typically knock those out on Saturday. So to start off with, I got to meet Douglas Tate. Now, he's a stuntman who's done shots as Jason. He's done shots as Michael Myers. He's also portrayed Sasquatch for Jack Link's Beef Jerky. And he was in the Five Nights at Freddy's movies where he plays the bird character. I do apologize, I'm not a Five Nights at Freddy's kind of guy. I'm definitely more of a Willy Wonderland person. But yeah, Douglas Tate, he was super chill. He was very talkative, friendly. We chatted about him doing stunts, how he's like one of two guys to play both Michael and Jason on screen. So that was really cool. Tom Morga being the other person who I've met as well. But yeah, he was the first guy I talked with. If it was somebody going to this show for the first time, if they also happened to meet Douglas for their first character, think you couldn't have picked a better guy. Super friendly. Took a picture with him. He had a Jason shirt on. We were chatting. All around good time. Now, next up is actually somebody I've seen at shows numerous times, seen him in panels, but I've never actually got an autograph from him. And that's Tyler Mane, who Michael Myers and Rob Zombie's 2007 Halloween. He also has played Sabretooth in the Wolverine movies. But again, a really friendly guy. He was so easy to talk to. Actually, when I walked up to the table with me having a Jason shirt on, he was quick to joke with me like, "Oh, wrong shirt, bud." So just, in my line of work, I always break the ice with customers with a joke. So, I can relate to that. It was cool. It was a good way to, get us on an even playing field of talking, chatted about the movie. Just again, a really nice guy to talk with. Bummer that Bill Moseley couldn't make the show, but I think Tyler was a great addition. Now, next up is a duo or a team, and that's because they do a lot of shows together. And that is Alex Vincent and Christina Lease, who played Andy in Child's Play and Kyle in Child's Play 2, and they both reappear in the Child's Play series or Chucky series on the Sci-Fi. So it was awesome meeting these guys. I've seen them at shows before as well, but sometimes when you go to a big show like Scarefest and there's 30 plus celebrities there, you got to make choices on who you're getting autographs from. And I'm really glad that I waited on, Alex, Christine, Tyler, not getting their autographs before, but instead getting it at a smaller show where we could have more intimate conversations. Because I had a fun time chatting with both of them individually about, shooting film versus TV, their experiences. Talked with Alex about how I grew up watching Child's Play, sneaking a view at a babysitter's, I think back when I was like 7 or 8. So yeah, that scarred me, and Child's Play's just always had a special place in my heart regardless of the direction they go. So yeah, really enjoyed meeting both of these. I actually did meet these two on Saturday. They were the first thing I went and did on Sunday. And yes, they took the last of my money. But next up is actually a double of Judie Aronson. She played Sam in Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. Like my second favorite, right behind Jason Lives. But yeah, it was so cool meeting her. Funny because back at my first convention I went to, Horror Hound had like a 1981 slasher fest or whatever. And Ted White, who played Jason in this movie, although it didn't come out in 1981, he was there, and he went into detail talking about this film, and in particular this scene and how bad he felt for Judie, like almost catching hypothermia, or actually maybe she did, because they're shooting in the freezing cold in water. She's like naked, and Joe Zito, the director, was making them shoot it over and over again, and apparently Ted White yelled at him. So that was fun to, hear that story at my first convention, and flash forward like over a decade later, meeting Judie and getting to talk with her and get a photo op with her. This was not a comfortable pose for her, I'm sure, but she was also really engaging even during this. A lot of celebrities, like, they don't talk to you, it's just wham bam, take a photo. Not the case with her. They even asked if I wanted to reshoot this because she felt like she had a goofy pose. Not the case in my opinion. I thought it looked great. So was cool getting to come back, get an autograph on this one. So all in all, I actually had 3 interactions with her, got 3 sets of photos. Super cool. Definitely made up for a weird interaction I ended up not getting an autograph from. But all in all, was a great time. Everybody that I had signed or dealt with, they were great. Everybody that came out to the show was awesome. Would love to see them all come back again. Would love to see Columbus do this again. But outside of the photos, we're now getting into the film festival. And pretty much all of the conventions I go to, they have some sort of film festival where they're showing, fan submitted films or like local directors. They're typically shorts, sometimes full lengths. And then, most of the time you get a premiere or sometimes 2. Now this event, they actually had the same set of movies playing on Saturday and Sunday. Most other shows, that's not the case, but here for Columbus, I found that to work perfect, especially with how I planned the show. So they had it split into 3 different blocks with a good variety of, the times of the movies, anywhere from like 5 minutes up to about 30 minutes. And, they varied per block, so you didn't have a block that had a bunch of long features and another with a bunch of shorts. So I thought that was really cool. But yeah, they had the 3 different blocks staggered, and then the times of those were staggered in different blocks for Sunday. So, Saturday I was able to see the last block, see the 2 movie premieres, and then on Sunday after the morning was able to see the first 2 blocks I missed on Saturday. And that's actually how I wrapped the show up with. I will say I've stayed at conventions until they've closed before. Saturday nights, going to the after parties, hanging out at the bar, but I've never been on Sunday until the show was completely over, people packed up, all of that. Was a cool feeling. Also kind of odd, but again, another benefit of just living so close to the venue. But as far as the films go, I did want to shout a few of them out. definitely not going to be able to go through all of them. I will say what's cool is Columbus has actually emailed me a link because I was a VIP ticket holder. So I actually am able to rewatch all of these shorts. It sounds like it's only for a limited time, but still, there's what? I think about 20 of these. So it's really cool. I can go back through now and rewatch them. You know, some of them maybe even get a better understanding of, you know, seeing them on the second view. But I kicked my viewing off with Laundromat, which was an under a 10-minute short. And I thought that was it was a great way to kick off the film fest, as we had a limited number of characters. We're given just the smallest amount of like some hints of a backstory. Some events happen, someone dies, and wham bam, it's wrapped up with a nice little bow on top, in my opinion. So I thought that was like a really cool way to start the show off. Now the next film, have to start with, you know, I was sitting up front at this show and all the chairs weren't packed. And somewhere into the last block on Saturday, a couple guys came in and sat up front too. And they seemed to particularly like this next segment, Love Mike, as one of them was dying laughing at it. And this was kind of an absurd movie of like a man falling in love with a pineapple and like what he was sacrificing for this demanding pineapple. So it's just already a crazy concept, and it did have some good laughs in it. But this guy enjoyed it a lot. He was laughing so much, I know it elevated the whole room. I was laughing out loud, not only because of the movie, but also because of him. I think the room enjoyed watching him enjoy this film. So that was cool. Another shout out is to the short Manifest. That actually won for Best Director, who coincidentally enough was in the room running the projector or making sure all the films were playing correctly. Chatted with him a little, and he said he actually volunteered to do that. They didn't have anyone, and he really just wanted to ensure that not only his but everybody's film was playing in the right format with appropriate sound. And I just thought that was cool. You know, he was like looking out for everybody. So glad to see that he won. I did like his short, Manifest. It had a real cool premise to it. And I personally feel like that could have been flushed out to maybe a feature. I think there's enough there. Could be wrong, but basically I liked it. With it winning, if you get a chance to see it, I would definitely recommend it. Another shout out was to Spooky Madison. She's a director out of Ohio, and you know, they had a short rabbit season that I initially you know, correlated to House of a Thousand Corpses and Run Rabbit Run. And you know, it almost seems like they did a spin on that, as there was somebody fleeing in a rabbit outfit from somebody trying to kill them. There's some tables flipped, and just all in all, I liked the story. I liked what they did. It had some cool production values, and I would love to see some more stuff coming from Spooky Madison, especially with her being out of Ohio. You know, it's really cool. Now I did get a couple handouts on some other movies, and this first one, The Other, that's actually how I wrapped up Sunday. This was like a cool 30-minute short that dealt with aliens and like replicants and duplicators, whatever, if I could talk. And it was really cool of like doppelgangers showing up, not knowing who's who, imagining like if you're in that situation. There was some unfortunate things with their pet dog. You know, not a fan of that, so like to give people a warning. But thought it was a cool short. Again, I think that they could have maybe done a feature with that. You know, maybe flush that idea out a little bit more. Now the shortest short that I saw, The Massacre, again, some directors from Ohio, and I did hear they are turning this into a full length. So in my opinion, this 7 was really more to stir up funding and interest in the film, and I think they did a great job. because within 7 minutes, we really only have two characters. I'm enjoying watching their like dialogue back and forth. Was starting to connect with them, had fun watching them steal the beer. But also we see behind the counter the handiwork of our killer, as we do have a dead body. We don't see anybody die, but basically the short ends with our killer stepping onto screen. I think that's awesome. Really sets the stage for like so much more of a story. And yeah, I would love to see this turned into a feature. I'm gonna be checking out for The Massacre. Now this next one, or this last one, I got this card before I saw the short, thought it was just cool imagery, but The Celebration by Jack Kudis. First off, the film starts with some great music. I love the imagery of, you know, the two killers killing a person set to music in the sunset. It's just unsettling. You can tell it's going to be a brutal film. And then we're introduced to our killer clown, which is one of two killers, and just the mask work on this is awesome. I know the imagery of Art the Clown is what helped sold the Terrifier series, what got people interested, me in particular, in All Hallows Eve, seeing the imagery of Art, and then later with Terrifier. So I really think that they have something here with this clown, with the film The Celebration. Would love to see more done with this. Going to be keeping an eye out for Jack Kudis and anything dealing with this clown. Again, the mask work was superb. Now, there were two feature films, and that's how I'm going to wrap this up, as that's how we wrapped up Saturday. And to start with, I did not do any research into these films. I had no idea what they were about. I didn't even know the name of one of them. I just knew the other one. But I didn't know who was starring in it, and that actually turned out to be a real pleasant surprise for me. Some people might think that's silly, but I just knew I wanted to watch a couple new films. And the first one, we had an introduction by Evan Tao, who was starring in the film. He was playing a young Bill Moseley, I found out. And Bill Moseley is the father of Laura Laverne, who is our star from Terrifier 2 and 3. So I was pleasantly surprised to find out who was starring in a film called Fetus that was dealing with a demonic fetus killing people. I was like, oh, that's right up my alley. Had a friend not too long ago that they're very much into the same kind of messed up crap I am, love the Terrifier series, and at one point we were working on doing a script that had to deal with fetuses and all sorts of messed upness. Just that never happened. Actually, because that didn't happen is actually what motivated me to start doing this channel, FYI. But yeah, just once I found out all this, I was sold on the movie, and it turned out to be a really good movie. Had really good production values. There's just a little bit of some CGI in here, but a lot of practical effects, which I appreciate. And of course, I enjoyed the acting. I really liked watching the character arc of Laura's character and her love interest, as you know, we start off with them having sex and a broken condom, to quickly find out that Laura is pregnant and her body's not the same as other people, because turns out she's actually the daughter of Bill Moseley, who his character in the beginning of the film has sex with a hole to hell, where thus our demon baby is born. Come to find out it's Laura. So as the movie goes on, we realize that this fetus, it is hungry, and it's only hungry for human blood. How is it going to get that human blood? Is Laura a vampire? No. The fetus leaves her body to feed and then goes back into her body. So I could only imagine that poor woman having to give multiple births to a demonic, deadly fetus. It was absurd, and I loved it. It had some good black comedy in this. Again, I enjoyed watching the characters of Laura and her love interest, you know, finding out they're having a kid, not wanting the kid, and then as the story goes on, they're actually caring for this kid and not only fighting for it, because they didn't even know if they were going to stay together. And then by the end, it's like, oh, a happy family, a happy demon family. You know, basically throughout the movie, Laura's mother, her demon mother, is like trying to come onto this earthly plane, and Bill's character doesn't know if he does or doesn't want to do this, what kind of sacrifices is he willing to make. And yeah, just like a real thought-provoking movie, although wrapped up with like a comedic overtone, in my opinion. You know, I did stop back by the table on Sunday, and I actually got to talk with Evan about this film, and he was so cool to chat with. I could tell like he actually valued me coming by and speaking with him. And you know, come Sunday after I got the last of my autographs, I really didn't have any more money to spend. I like only budgeted so much. And I didn't buy anything from his table, but that didn't stop Evan from being super engaging with me, did not rush any kind of conversation. We chatted about making of the movie, and he actually asked if I wanted to film a review. So he filmed me, you know, give him my thoughts on the movie directly after. Caught me off guard, wasn't ready, and I think I screwed it up because I clearly am more comfortable with me recording myself than someone else. But you know, I was floored that he asked me to do that, and just I had fun chatting with him. We talked after we did the review, sat there in the lobby and shot the shit for a while, and just, yeah, a good dude. Makes me like the movie that much more when I know there's good people behind it. Meeting Evan, he was super cool interaction. I've met Laura in the past. She was phenomenal. And you know, while I've never met Bill Moseley, I've heard nothing but good things. So just, yeah, good movie with good people behind it. I would highly recommend checking it out. If you like a fun movie, has some dark subject matter, but you know, wrapped up with some black comedy, it's a good watch. This movie actually came out last year. It is available to rent or buy on Amazon Prime. And talking with Evan, you know, told him I'm a huge physical media collector. He assured me there is a physical media release coming. So if you want to check out when that drops or just look up any info on the movie, I would go to thefetusfilm.com. So yeah, The Fetus, that was a good way to kick off the premiere, but I'm so glad I stuck around for the second movie, as the second movie was the only title I actually knew, but again, I didn't know what I was stepping into, and that was Redhead. Now, this movie, Redhead, was intense, to say the least. Basically, dealing with a woman and her trauma. We start off with our main character, Redhead, named Autumn, who she's been kidnapped by a serial killer. We don't mess around with all that crap, just it's already happened. We got a couple people restrained, we got a crazy man with a chainsaw, and within the first few minutes we get full victim evisceration with this chainsaw, coating Autumn, aka Redhead, in blood. And the movie just escalates from there. We wait till Redhead's character, or Redhead's husband, wakes up and actually acknowledges his wife, Redhead, and that's when the killer pounces from behind and strangles him to death with a noose right in front of his wife. And again, that's like just a few minutes into the film. It's our second kill, and it's intense. I was like, all right, I know I'm in good hands here. And our character Redhead, she basically kills off the serial killer, who's also a cannibal. She kills his wife, and that's where the movie really gets started, as we're dealing with Autumn, trying to just get through life. Dealing with this trauma, coping with it, making it through the day. She's going to a therapist, but really she's just surrounded by shitbags. Because that's what happens, is these guys just come at her in all sorts of gross ass ways, and she deals with it really the only way she knows how, and that's the same way she dealt with our serial killer. She messes these guys up. We get some testicle foo, we get some intestine choking. There's a real cool shotgun blast to the face that, in my opinion, looks pretty realistic. And even at one point, there is a kill montage. At one point, Redhead, Autumn, she kills a character and takes the character's pug, their dog, which in real life it was their dog. So it was real fun to like see how she just bonded with this dog through the rest of the movie, yet she stole it from a victim. So I thought this movie was fun. I laughed. I felt pain at certain parts. I really felt the emotion of Joan Hodge, the actress playing Redhead. Just I could feel it. I would say there was not a lot of people in the theater by the time that this movie played, and I was able to see a couple people leave. I don't know if that was just because it was late or because the film was that intense. Somebody did leave in a death scene, so I feel that might have been the case. But nonetheless, I had such a blast watching this film. Although I was tired, I was ready to get out of there. Once this started playing, I forgot all about that. Even better yet was on Sunday, I was able to stop back by the table and speak with the writers, the directors, the actors, husband and wife, Sam and Joan Hodge. They were phenomenal. Had such a great time chatting with them. And I'd say we probably talked 30 minutes or more. I came up to say that I had a fun time watching the film, and it just seemed like Joan's eyes lit up and she immediately just started talking to me, being very appreciative. Both her and Sam were talking about their experiences of filming, shooting, directing this, shared some stories with their dog, with other cast and crew, some of the effects, what they did to pull them off, even talking about how they go to antique malls and hunt for old tools and stuff to use in death scenes. Just, very engaging people. I love this movie, and I don't know if I'd love talking with Sam and Joan more, to be honest. They were probably like the best people I met at the whole event, and not to take away from anyone else, because I had such a great time. But yeah, it was so cool to get to meet them. And as you see, I did get a cool DVD cover or copy that Sam and Joan were able to autograph for me. Talking with them, getting the movie, learned that they are filming a Redhead 2, Deadhead. Love the title. So they're working on that, and I can't wait to see when that film comes out. Now, this did come out in 2023, so I'm not sure. I don't know if that movie's coming out later this year or not. But again, they had a lot of headshots, a lot of promotional stuff for the film. I wish I would have actually talked with them on Saturday, maybe spend a little bit more with them. But again, I did make a point to get a copy of this film. And, I asked Sam if, I wanted to get some of their other films, or if others wanted to purchase from them, like what's the best way to do that? And he told me, honestly, just on Facebook. He said him and Joan are both on Facebook, and, look up their names and could purchase copies through them. I have already friended both of them, and they seem to be pretty cool people. So if you are looking to check them out, I would check out Sam Hodge, Hodge, or Joan Hodge, and that's Johnnna. So again, this is Redhead. We have a Redhead 2 coming out, and if you like a bleak and brutal movie, something that is unforgiving, but can also be so brutal that there's maybe even some laughs in it, you can't be all the time. I would highly recommend this. Films like Jacob's Ladder, Found, Martyrs, High Tension, things like that are disturbing, graphic films that have unsettling endings or unsettling subject matter. It's definitely this film. I can't recommend it enough, but I also recommend with caution. So if you get a chance to check this film out, do it. Do yourself a favor. So, and that wraps up my weekend at Horror Hound, or not Horror Hound, geez, Columbus HorrorCon. So again, I had such a great time. I loved meeting all of the people. I love seeing how many people were coming to this show for the first time. In line, I even met somebody who was like from Steel City, Pittsburgh. Just like, wow, you drove an awful long way. So yeah, I can't wait to do it again next year, but I also can't wait for Scarefest coming up in October, as that is the next horror convention I have planned. But until next time, everybody, you know the saying, stay spooky.